to PittsburgHER, a podcast collaboration between New Jagoff Media and Pittsburgh Magazine. Consider these episodes conversations that women specifically have with their coworkers, with their sisters, with their dearest friends, and we're having them right here because we use this bowl, which we're going to get to, right? And the bowl has its own story, but we want to call it something because we don't want to just refer to it as a bowl. And we are going to pick a topic that we have all come up with. What I love is that each of us decided these are the topics that we talk about regularly or come up in conversation, so let's throw them in the bowl. But first, let's get to know who everybody is. Since I'm talking, I guess I'll start. I'm Rachel. I have had the Jagoff podcast for 9 years with my partner, John Chamberlain, and we have a media company that does social media, PR, marketing, and I get to work with a lot of these people, so I love it.
You do.
You are?
Sarah Aziz. I'm a mom, I'm a runner, I'm a professional at the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust in the diversity, equity, inclusion realm, and yeah, that's me.
And you are Christy? Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
I'm the food editor of Pittsburgh Magazine. I have a daughter. She's 15. She's autistic, so that's something I would like to talk about too. And yeah, I love Pittsburgh. I love to eat.
Yeah. I'm Dr. Jocelyn Fitzgerald. I am a urogynecologist and pelvic reconstructive surgeon at the University of Pittsburgh at McGee Women's Hospital, where I was born and now I work. I'm also a researcher at the McGee Women's Research Institute. I care a lot about female pelvic floor disorders and women's health in general.
So do we.
We do.
Yeah, pelvic floors.
And I'm Bria, aka DJ Femi, a DJ here in Pittsburgh, also a cellist, a pianist, and all sorts of musical things with the background in music. And born and raised in Pittsburgh, and I love being here and being a part of the conversation.
That's such a good point. Is anyone not from Pittsburgh? All five of us, right? We've all born.
Yeah.
That was a close
Born
one.
and raised.
We should have vetted that before.
Yeah.
I left for a minute, and then I came back.
I
Yeah,
never even
we
did
all
that.
come back.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of jump to a couple of things that are happening in the news, right? Because those are conversations that happen. And Dr. Fitzgerald brought this up, things are trending for so long, but let's face it, it's Pittsburgh. We always go back. We want the tea that happened a couple weeks ago, especially if it happened to our sports teams. And one of the biggest conversations that I've been hearing over the last couple of days is the fact that opening day was opening day, but there was something in particular that was covering a very renowned player. And it's become, as the days have gone on, Roberto Clemente, his family spoke out and said, I'm not real happy about the fact that this ad appeared. But it has since come down, correct?
I
haven't heard that.
I believe I read today that they
We're
they
getting
did
a
pull
thumbs
it
up
down.
from
Yeah,
the Peanut Gallery.
Fact check.
it was a it was a Surfside ad, which to make matters worse, glad that we checked where everybody was from. That's from Philly, and
It's Pennsylvania, at least.
No, absolutely.
money for the Femi never
No.
says boo, but she's like,
No.
that was not
Even if that was Iron City, that
Yeah.
covered it.
No.
Would it have been
Still
different?
No,
No.
I don't
Not
think so.
really.
Okay.
It would be harder to notice. I'm sorry.
No, I think Pittsburgh, we have a few heroes here, but
Right.
not many people who are universally adored.
Right.
Pittsburghers
Good
don't
point.
like change.
Right.
That's what happened with the football stadium. So,
Still Heinz Field, you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
that one.
Whatever that's
Exactly. And then you know what? This is probably opening day, opening weekend, opening day. More people in that stadium to notice
Sure.
than
That's a
ever.
good point.
I heard that they
Yankees,
sold out
which
Yeah.
was
the
Yeah.
stadium
Yes.
that day.
sold
Yes.
out.
People
all
are going to
weekend.
notice that.
They're gonna notice.
My parents' basement is a literal shrine to Roberto Clemente. I don't think you understand. The entire basement is covered in pictures of him in a good way.
Oh my
I
God.
was,
My parents'
him.
basement.
I was on the bridge with your dad when they reopened it at
I was
first
there
night
too.
last year. Yes,
Yeah.
and his family was
Same.
there, and
Yeah.
so we were all there. But your dad was so excited, like
Oh, yeah.
like a little kid. And we were all
Roberto
excited.
Clemente is his
Yes.
childhood and adult hero.
Sure.
I think maybe as a supplemental link to this podcast, I will take a video of my parents' basement.
Yes,
So you can
yes.
understand
Oh, we have to see that. Yeah,
the
for sure.
extent. It's like a mini version of the museum.
I
Okay.
love that.
I love that.
I mean, my only anecdote that I could give is John and I interviewed Junior a couple of years ago, and this is a big surprise, but we were late to the
Oh,
podcast.
I
Yeah.
believe it.
And he was a gem. He was very forgiving and was very graceful of the fact that we were late. And we were literally bringing all of our equipment like, hey, we're coming, we promise. But, very, like, to Jocelyn's point, very indicative of Pittsburgh and what we represent. And I'm with his family, and I think it should have been thought through.
So here's probably I don't know if this will be an unpopular take, but just to like play devil's advocate for a minute.
As some people say, the devil has enough advocates.
I know that is true,
But not when it's women. Only when it's men.
That's right. There you go.
So I feel like once again, as I'm getting older, I feel like everything comes down to communication.
Yeah.
Like someone dropped the ball.
You're right.
There was someone was told along the line, you can sell this space as advertising, because like that's how business.
How did it get there?
Works.
Sure.
How did it get there? How did Surfside get pitched? You
Right.
can pay X amount of dollars to put it there, and then they're in a weird position of like, well, now we have to cover this up. Oh, well, that was only for the Clemente family for this amount of years, and
Sure.
there needed to be
That's a
like
great
more
point.
conversations. It's all about the relationships, and there just wasn't clearly anyone who reached out to the Clemente family to say like,
Yeah.
hey, we need to do this, or talk to Surfside on the other side to be like, hey, we really should not have sold you this. Can we give you this other panel in the outfield
Yeah,
for
that's not
X
Roberto
amount of?
Clemente.
That's
Right.
not Roberto
Sure.
Clemente.
Yeah,
One of
It's a big
like
wall.
it's the bridge
Yeah, right.
name. Like it's a
Right.
big
Like a
wall.
little bit of like local cultural and situational awareness would
Yes.
have gone a long way.
Yes,
In
100%.
that
Intentions
scenario.
are so important, and
That's right.
if it's not intentful, then like
And-
it kind of defeats.
We'll find out.
Look at us
This
solving
decision
it.
probably
We
is
got it
not
all
from
figured
Pittsburgh, or they would have known.
And baseball
Right.
fans know it's such a. I mean, it's all traditions
Right.
and superstitions,
Yeah.
and if you take that away, well, have they doomed
They
our
won't win.
season? Unless you drink a Surfside.
There's a lot of things that have doomed their
Please
season.
don't
All right, I was gonna say.
I know, right?
I don't know if we can blame that one
No,
for a
we're
lot.
also drinking knockoff Perrier.
All right, Christy, are you going to be
Maison.
are you going to explain the bowl? What is that bowl? Did we come up with a
It's
name?
not a fish
I
bowl.
mean, I
It's
call
not
it a
official.
casserole dish because
love
it's like
that.
so
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
casserole dishy.
Sure.
yeah.
So
And a casserole has so many things in it.
yes, and I grew up on casseroles.
Yeah, it was
So-
metaphoric.
Yeah.
Bowl.
Totally.
What is that?
I'll go with that.
Sarah, you had a couple good ones. Do you remember what they were?
No.
Okay.
No,
Because
not at all.
nothing.
They weren't
I
as
have-
good as
Bria?
so
What was the winner? You.
I think it was the Still Magnolia Bowl.
Yeah,
Still
like that.
Bowl.
Love
I
the
do it
popcorn
like I do
bowl because it's kind of like popcorn.
I like that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
pop. Yeah.
Well,
pop.
I have
Everyone's
Popcorn
house has
questions.
like a popcorn bowl.
Yeah.
Also a throw up bowl.
Throw up bowl,
But we're
yeah.
not going to talk about
Yeah.
that.
we call that a yuck bucket.
Yeah,
in my
luck,
house.
but yes, everyone's house has one.
Yep. Get over your yuck
Like a
bucket.
slop sink. Yeah.
We never said that.
You didn't have a yuck bucket in
It was
your car?
It's Tupperware.
No,
just
I
for
just said
barfing?
don't throw it in the car.
Well, that's good.
Roll the window down.
That's it.
Tell me to pull over.
So are we naming it or are we leaving it? Do we want it to be the Steel Magnolia? Because Sarah even had us take tests.
Yeah,
Steel
it turns
Magnolia.
out a lot of us are
Truly.
Truvy.
Yeah.
3 Truvies and
Wow.
Weezer.
Weezers.
Both
There
of
you
you
go.
are Weezers?
I'll take it officially, but as I said, I don't need to.
I
You
love
don't
that
need
she
it.
refused
Yes.
to take the test. She's like, I don't need to.
I already know.
You know in your heart.
I have a sister named Louisa who is named after that movie, and a brother named Jackson who is also named after.
Oh my
Nice.
God.
That
I
movie.
love that there's always a story.
There-
love it.
And there's
All right, so Christy,
There's so
pick
many of
from
you.
what
So
we
many of
think
us.
is going to be the maybe Shelby, maybe
Yeah, I
Truvy,
Shelby.
maybe Weezer bowl.
it
There
could be
you
like
go.
the bowl that Dolly Parton takes like the wax out of.
Yeah.
you
What
know?
is? Yeah. What is this? Makes you pretty.
Uh-oh. Oh,
What is that
facial
face?
expression. I don't know. She's reading it for a
No,
while.
it's good. The societal expectations of women, particularly around work, family, and appearance, contribute to mental health struggles in Pittsburgh.
It is a
In
DJ
Pittsburgh?
Femi kind of day. That was hers.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did put that
it's really
topic in
good.
there.
Honestly, I mean, I don't want to say. I don't think it's even very unique to Pittsburgh. Absolutely Pittsburgh, and probably
Yeah,
unique ways
sure.
in which it unfolds here, but that's a social
Greater issue globally.
Deep. social issue.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And
All
how?
cultures.
So Bria, you posed it. What's sort of your overall take?
Well, I think when I did pose it, I was really curious to hear how everybody else felt.
Oh.
But, just on everybody coming from a different cultural background or just a different place in the world or in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Have you ever faced that part where being a woman, being this kind of woman has impacted your work life, your social life, all of that? Just being a woman in general, I guess. How does that
I'll start
for you?
just because it's interesting. I've had different takes as I've gotten older, and I've had this conversation with women. I've so proudly said that it has been rare for me to be in a room where I felt, inferior to men or really had an experience that caused me to feel the way some women have expressed that they felt until recently. And so this past year, 2024, I experienced it like all of a sudden I was like, wait, I thought we were getting better at this. And my take is interesting in the sense that I come from, we've had this conversation where I want to talk about generational barriers because I come from the baby boomer parents. My friend jokes that my generation is probably the best generation because we have to contend with
Sure.
the baby boomers and our children who are these new, Gen Z.
The Zoomers.
The Zoomers. And
Zoomers and Zoomers.
it's an interesting place to be, but I come from a family where culturally women stayed home. And not because it was told to be that way, but because it just happened to be. And so my father would say, girls just don't do as well as boys, intentionally for me to do better, right? That was his sort of
motivate
motivation.
you?
Yes.
Huh.
Would it work today and would I do it? Absolutely not. Would
Right.
he do it? Absolutely not.
Okay.
It was a sign of the times.
Okay.
And I don't resent that because it helped me become who I am. But I think that I definitely suffer some repercussions there because I waited until later in life to really create who I am. And that's it in a nutshell.
Thanks
Boom.
for sharing. Yeah.
Fair? It's a fair, I'm pretty open about it, but it is interesting that I experienced, it didn't cause me mental health issues, but it definitely had me, rethink how I feel in a room, and that sort of sucked.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because that sucked to you. Probably was that like reverse psychology? Like, that's like triggering a little bit when you are in certain rooms.
Yeah, maybe. And I think, I've always said I'm very comfortable around men just because I was always it's fine. And again, I didn't have a negative scenario. And, as you know, my business partner is a man and he's made my life wonderful. I have nothing but good things to say.
He's wonderful.
He is a wonderful person. So he's never made me feel that way, ever. In fact, he recognized that had happened. And it was with one of our clients. And so it was really wow, how did this just happen when it was almost like I needed it to happen in order to experience it so that I could say, not that I didn't respect people for having their own situations, but it was just when you actually experience it, it's different.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Those situations, though, to your question to me feels like the more insidious, 1,000 cuts of
Yeah.
the patriarchy that happen, over the course of
Sure.
a lifetime. And, little things you don't expect. I once had a tweet go very viral where I commented, I have 5 younger sisters, we're all the same, we're solidly millennial. We expand the whole millennial generation that we were all raised to be whatever we wanted to be, but nobody gave the boys that were being raised at the same time that memo.
Sure.
That the girls were all gonna show up at the same time, and we wanted to be like our dads, but they also wanted to be like their dads. So who was gonna be our moms for them? And so now there's this incredible rift. There's childcare issues. There's sharing the mental load issues. Many of my colleagues my age really do feel like they need to choose between, giving up some of their autonomy and having kids and just sort of sucking up this mental load or not having kids at all. And so that's a grief unto itself to feel like you can't do both. You have to work like you don't have kids, and then you have to have kids like you don't work. It's
That's right.
impossible.
Yes.
And there's a lot of women in my generation. This has been in all of the male podcasts this week that by 2040, I think it's 50% of women 20 to 40 will be single and child free. And the men are very scared about this, but the women are not. They're like,
It's another sign of the times.
This is terrible for women.
Sure.
It's like, actually, it's terrible for men because
Yeah.
we are like the only source of emotional support that men have really often in their life. But it's just a very interesting, like, back and forth that's happening. And I think women and men are paying the price of these unmet expectations that a generation of people were raised
Yes.
to be the same as each other, and it didn't.
It's a great
They
point.
got their wires
Yeah.
crossed.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an opinion because I'm me.
We only have about.
I know, what's the time check, John? I went to a women's college. I was raised by a woman who literally read me Ms. Magazine articles, like, as
Love
my nighttime, bedtime stories. My dad is from Pakistan. So women didn't really work. A big reason that he left was because he saw this potential, and he's an attorney, and so there was a ton of corruption, and so that was very much a part of it also. But he saw his sisters and his one sister owns a school, and she started it from nothing. He's like, this woman could rule the world. Like, she literally built a school. She's been running it by herself. Like, I don't understand why no one is giving her the credit, but it was still like, oh yeah, but Soraya has 4 kids. My dad would be like, and a school, and a school.
Yeah.
It was like, why are they getting this credit? So I was raised very aware of that rift, and to your point, also very like, you can do whatever you want. My parents actually told me, like, heads up, the guys probably aren't getting this message, so you need to tell them. And I'm an only child.
And you did.
And I did.
Yeah.
I remember having this debate with this guy in high school who now we both live in our same hometown, and our like kids play soccer together and are in kindergarten together. But I remember him saying, after it was like a orchestrated debate in like a civics class, and afterwards I remember him saying, like, I've never really thought about it. Like, and like, good for him that he was like open to like, oh, I have to consider this. I think it's really interesting, to your point, at work, people are like, oh my gosh, you have 3 boys? I'm like, yes. And when I'm at soccer games or, band recitals, people are like, oh my gosh, you have this big job you work at the Cultural Trust? Like, that's a big thing. And I'm like, yep. And the mental load is like, the general expectation is just there. It's just real. Like, no, my husband has said, so our oldest is in 8th grade. He works from home. Since the 8th grader was in kindergarten, they were like, call Ryan if the kid forgets their trombone or needs to be picked up or like whatever it is. Today was literally the first day. Our middle kid, who's now in 4th grade, forgot his trombone, and Ryan got the call, and he was like, I got the first call.
Right.
Like, it took 8
The
That's
default
awesome.
That's
parent,
crazy, yeah.
my mother
That's
being
great.
the default parent is
Yes.
insane.
Yes.
My partners, they get called like out of surgery. I'll be like, my husband's name is on
Right.
the
Right.
form.
Yeah.
He is home. Call him.
Right.
And they still.
Yeah. So I don't know. That expectation, I think, is real, and I think, to your point, I do think it's like beyond Pittsburgh for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think Pittsburgh tends to have those old standards a little more than I lived in New York for 15 years, and it was like not a thing that when I would go to like preschool things, nobody was like, oh, you also have a job? Like, literally 0 people commented
And
on
that was then. So,
Right.
yeah. Times.
Yeah.
Right. I don't
Makes
think
sense.
it was anyone that limited me and that I could be a journalist. I think it was myself. I had no self-confidence. And the second that I started just to be me and let myself come out in my writing, then I think that's when I felt confident. But it was never anyone that saying, like, you can't be a journalist because you're a girl.
But no one ever said you can either.
Well, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. And
Well, and I think it's your makeup then, because it did make me, as I said, like, there was not resentment in the sense, like, I knew why he did it. And he recognizes it now, like, maybe it's fine. Like, I turned, but it's not that easy where I turned out fine, so it's okay. I would not then, nor would my husband, do those same things with our children. It's a totally different world, you know? And I think that's why, because you learn that this isn't how I want it to be for my kids. You know, I want them each to be free thinkers in how, you know, you encourage differently according to who the kid is and how they operate. Sure. So it's interesting, but yeah, I think times are just different.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That was a great question.
Thanks.
Don't
Thank you
look
guys
at
for
us.
answering.
Yeah,
Giving me
very
great
good.
answers.
I hope you weren't like, Sarah's like, what?
No. It's cool. I feel like I'm the youngest, so I feel like I'm just getting some background from everybody.
There you go. I
Different
love that she's throwing out
generations,
the youngest. She just
Yeah.
called us old.
I mean, I feel old to me.
Seasoned.
You guys would say I'm the youngest. I know you would.
Seasons, yes, it is so true. So I just want to remind that, beyond our bowl chatter, we want to have some shout outs to these amazing women who are in our cities, right? Because our city,
Just one.
because we have one city. We don't want to talk about the others. We don't like Philly.
That was clear. Not first answer. That was very clear.
Since we were talking about this when we got together last, I wanted to point out that I have something for you. It's a treat. I'm not going to bring treats every time, but I did this time.
You're welcome to.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to, I will.
We don't mind.
Here's
It's
why.
expected.
I think some of you know
Don't set
this,
that
but
precedent and
I
take it
had
away.
started going like gluten-free and dairy-free-ish. And so
Ish?
my there's a place.
you.
Do you want to like
How-
just pass?
Oh, Baked True
I don't
North.
know.
Is that Baked True North?
Oh,
Baked True
I can
North.
still the
Jiminy
lemon squares.
cricket.
It's phenomenal,
Such
and
a
I don't
food
care where
critic.
you live.
Wow,
you need to
you
go
know.
there.
I love a
I
lemon
love
star.
that you know.
It is, well, she lives near me, but it's on Route 19. And
great.
I just talked to the owner, who is absolutely
she's
an
great.
amazing woman-owned business.
It's also
And
the
she's had it for 9 years.
So
Thank you.
cute.
But they're
That looks
vegan, they're
beautiful.
dairy-free, they're gluten-free, and she recognizes all of these allergies and makes all these delicious things. So
Yeah,
they're
There's
three
three
over
over
there.
that's really close to. There's a carpet slide place that children
yeah.
get
Yes.
invited
Isn't
to
that Plaza?
birthday parties, and parents don't have to stay
Yeah,
once
it's
your
true.
child is a certain age, so you can
Yeah.
drop your child at the birthday party and go over to
Across
Baked
the
True North and have a treat.
That was a great
Buy
second
some
point.
It's quiet and yeah.
So if I found a business, Christy, did you by chance find any women that you've interviewed lately that you want to
Reacting.
shout out or not interviewed?
I mean, I could talk about women. Being a journalist for 20 years, I've interviewed a lot of amazing women. I could take the whole podcast by
lemon
myself to
bar.
talk about them,
I
but
love lemon bar.
probably like the most, the special one for me was Mary Mancini Hartner, who, you know. But, I grew up my mom grew up in McKees Rocks. And so my family's from McKees Rocks. So Mancini's bread is just not just bread, it's so much more. And the time I got to interview Mary the first time, it was like 2021. And it was on my grandma's birthday, December 13th. And Nick made me let me make a twist for the first time. And this was like such a huge thing.
Did you
And they
cry?
I did.
cried,
I
yeah,
did.
no.
And
it
then
was-
you went where?
And I went to the cemetery and I ate a twist, an entire twist at my grandma's grave. So
That you made.
So Pittsburgh.
that I made.
Yeah, that's very Pittsburgh. I
And it
love
was
that.
very, and I think Mary knew that it was special to me, and it wasn't just an interview, and it wasn't just to do a
Yeah.
story on their 95th anniversary. It's going to be 100 soon. She feels like part of my family, and Nick feels that way too. And I think anyone that has Mancini's bread and has lost people, it's kind of like it brings them
Nostalgic.
back. Yeah. So
Look at Christy.
Yeah, my grandma
Stirring
lived.
the emotions.
She lived above a Jenny Lee, and so we were just talking that it always smelled like cinnamon and cigarettes. And so when I
Yum.
smell that cinnamon and cigarettes, it
Smells like
just
home?
it smells like home.
Yeah, that'll hit you.
What a good way to end
Those
it.
smells. We should have a segment on nostalgic Pittsburgh
Oh,
smells.
that's
Yes.
such a good
Oh,
idea. Yeah.
There's so many.
Yes.
Kennywood
Write it
alone
down.
is a
Kennywood.
smell.
Write it down.
Oh my god, just that, even though it's like a weird,
The water.
dirty water smell.
Yeah.
But
So,
it's still like
listen,
the river. Unmistakable.
I miss the log jammer. 'cause
Yeah,
it's like a different.
He is.
thing.
He's so we want to hear from other people, right? We love the fact that we've put so many different things into our fishbowl that's not a fishbowl anymore. We want to hear from you, and we want to add to Shelby and have new conversations. So make sure you hit us up. You can find us at Pittsburgh Magazine on the website or on your Jagoff's website or wherever you get podcasts. The quarterly Pittsburgh Magazine Women in Business Awards inspired this overdue podcast, and the next one is on May the 20th, and it is at the National Aviary from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. We hope we see you there, and until next time, thanks for checking out Pittsburgh Her.
Bye.